Are you seeing a difference in infection rate in the places where schools are open versus those where schools are not open?
In the surrounding community?
Correct.
I don't believe so, no.
Help me understand then why it is that we continue to have so many schools closed, why we have not opened our schools, because that's the experience that, as we've looked around the world at countries that have kept schools open versus those that have not, there doesn't appear to be a significant difference in infection in the community or among the students or teachers, and yet the cost to children in learning of not having schools open is so overwhelming that I can't understand why it would be that we would not be insisting that schools be open and should have been open a long time ago. How is it that even to this day, that even in the San Diego region, that there are schools not open yet? I also seen research that says we're better to have schools open entirely as opposed to a hybrid system, on a couple of days, off a couple of days, because the back and forth means more exposure to more people. Being full-time school would be less exposure. So I'm wondering why it is we still have schools closed in your district and around the country, given the fact that scientific data doesn't suggest that there's an additional risk for teachers or students or the community by having them open.
Thank you, Senator. This, as you know, is a complex topic, and each school, each leader, each system leader has had to make their best decisions given the evidence and the circumstances and the resources that they have locally to make a safe path forward.
But the evidence,
large urban
but the scientific evidence is available to us. Well, I wondered, this has been a year. We've had evidence. We've seen what's happened around the world and in school districts in our own country, and yet we have people making local decisions, not based upon federal guidance, local decisions to keep schools closed. And one has to wonder whether this is because of a special interest group of some kind that is insistent on not going back to work. I mean, you're the superintendent of your own region. You've got a lot of schools closed. I don't understand how they can continue to do that given the lack of evidence that would suggesting that they are actually keeping their kids healthier by doing so.
Making the decision for specifically to San Diego, I think is what you're referring to,
Yeah.
and our schools.
Yeah.
And this has been a tremendous challenge, as you know. And I know across the country, people are grappling with the same issues that we grapple with in San Diego to make our path forward for reopening. That's why we did turn to the local experts. We did put the mitigations in place. We started to re-engage our most vulnerable youth. Senator Murray brought up our homeless youth, foster youth, students with disabilities, students with the greatest challenge, being able to start to come for in-person learning. For appointment-based learning, we began with that and began to slowly or gradually reopen, and that was the path forward that we chose for San Diego, and putting all these mitigations that were so important in place, including the surveillance testing that we knew was necessary, and now the vaccinations have been completed, and we've got a clear path forward that's working for our community and making sure that students are able to have access to learning.
I certainly hope that at the Department of Education that you'll be able to provide guidance that helps the entire nation, as opposed to saying to every school district, hey, why don't you get your own experts to figure this out? Because we do have experts at the national level who said to us it's okay to open schools, and yet the schools remain closed.